top stories on the brief of this hour: from 48,000 naira to 54,000 naira and now 57,000 naira. Well, that has been the trajectory of the federal government's counter-offer to labor in the ongoing minimum wage negotiation. But just as it did to previous offers, the organized labor comprising the Nigeria Labour Congress, NLC, and the Trade Union Congress, TUC, have rejected the new offer of 57,000 naira minimum wage. On the flip side, however, Labour said it's shifted ground from its initial 615,000 naira to 497,000 naira. Well, a prominent member of the tripartite committee for the negotiation of a new minimum wage for Nigeria's workers told Channels Television's Labour correspondent that the federal government and organized private sector side of a negotiation proposed a 57,000 naira monthly minimum wage. So, I guess it's back to the negotiation table as the committee works to beat the month-end ultimatum given by Labour. Store governance now. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo is advocating a re-examination of the model of democracy African nations inherited from the West and come up with a contextual version that suits the peculiar heritage of the African people. At a summit attended by Vice President Kashim Shettima, former President Obasanjo added that democracy will be effective if built on good leadership, strong institutions, amongst others.
Hope is the oxygen of democracy. And if you lose hope, then your democracy is dying. And what we find is that our youth particularly are losing hope and interest in democracy. And we have to do something about that.
He calls for a contextual democracy that addresses the peculiarities of Africans.
The rethinking of liberal democracy should be focused on Africanizing a universal political system based on African realities and peculiarities.
Meanwhile, the Vice President who represented President Bola Tinubu called for the strengthening of regional economic communities to drive integration and trade ties among African nations.
We have recorded 25 years of unbroken democratic governance. We have learned through bitter experience that the cure for bad democratic governance is more democracy. As one of our most profound intellectuals, the late Professor Claude Ake, once famously opined, that people must learn to become their own political messiahs from bad governance. This can only be done through the instrumentality of democracy.
Well, speaking of a President Bola Tinubu will depart Abuja to N'Djamena, Republic of Chad, to attend the inauguration of President Mohamed Deby. The inauguration follows the declaration of President Deby as a winner of the country's presidential election earlier this month and subsequent affirmation of the Constitutional Court of Chad. According to the statement by Special Advisor Media and Publicity Ajuri Ngelale, President Tinubu will be accompanied on the trip by some senior government officials and will return after the ceremony. Well, back home here, the House of Representatives has mandated its committees to carry out an investigation into allegation of execution of what it described as slave agreement between Nigerian ministries, departments and agencies with China. Honorable Ahmed Doro, who moved the motion, told the House that the Federal Ministry of Finance, the Debt Management Office and other government institutions have developed interests in obtaining loans from Chinese state entities and have increased Nigeria's debt exposure to China. According to the lawmaker, a careful review of the loans with these Chinese entities indicates that the loans are one-sided.
The House notes that the Nigerian federal and state governments have constitutional and statutory powers to obtain loans from local and foreign creditors, but must adhere to the process and controls for fiscal, financial, and economic stability. Aware that paragraph 2.2 of the guidelines provide that all external loans must have been pre-approved in the annual budget of the Federation before they are obtained. Observe that the relevant public servants and civil servants charged with the responsibility for exercising due diligence before these loans are signed are always in a hurry and do not scrutinize these loans As a result, Nigeria has executed loans that create significant hardship for Nigeria. Concerned that there is a need for an investigation and thorough review of the terms of these slave agreements and to quantify the risks, threats, and dangers associated with them in order for proactive steps to be taken to prevent another repeat of the P&ID scandal and to prevent a situation where Nigeria's sovereign asset will be threatened both home and abroad.
Well, the atmosphere was not this serene, prim and proper in another legislative house, this time at the state level, where 17 out of 25 members of a Cross River State House of Assembly passed a vote of no confidence on the Speaker. That's Elvert Ayembem, who represents Boki local government area of Cross River State. The impeachment, which then followed, took place at the Assembly complex in Calabar, the state capital, following a motion moved by Effium Ekarika, representing Calabar South 1 constituency, and seconded by Omang Charles Omang, representing the Kwara State constituency. They alleged that the Speaker has been neglecting the welfare of the members and using funds meant for them to acquire properties. Impeachment notice obtained by Channels Television details several instances of alleged misappropriation, including the alleged mismanagement of 48 million naira for electricity bills, monthly misappropriation of 2% of IRS revenues amounting to 404 million naira, and alleged mishandling of over 19 million naira in LG deductions. Let's talk the aftermath of a sad incident. Displaced natives of Okuama community begun to return to their community, which was completely destroyed after the killing of 17 army officers in March this year. The Delta State government, after inaugurating a committee to help resettle the natives, also set up an internally displaced persons camp in Ewu. But this development has met mixed reactions, as some natives have decided not to live in the camps provided by the government.
A first step to a long-term solution. Just the first step to a long-term solution. And don't forget that this committee was empaneled while they were still in the bush. It was not empaneled when they were already out of the bush. That is, the army had left the community and then they were out for them to even be engaged. Nobody could engage them as at the time this committee was empaneled. And the mandate of this committee is to ensure that they got off the bush from the forest to stay in a habitable place, while they look at the more substantive issue of bringing that community that has been completely destroyed, according to you, that the only building standing is the church building, to bring it to at least baseline condition, which is the intention of government.
After almost 2 years in captivity, the Nigeria Police Force has announced the rescue of 2 daughters of Representative Amina Ado, a member of the Zamfara State House of Assembly, who were abducted in November 2022. Announcing the rescue of the 10 and 8-year-old girls in Abuja, the Inspector General of Police, Skayode Egbetokun, stated that the rescue was made possible through the collaborative efforts of various security agencies, coordinated by the Office of the National Security Advisor. According to the police, the children were initially abducted with their mother and other siblings, but the mother managed to escape during the rainy season of 2023 with 2 of her children, leaving behind the other 2, Mariam and Nana Asmau.
Armed bandits riding on over 60 motorcycles invaded the residence of Honorable Amina Ado, a member of the Zamfara State House of Assembly, in a brutal display of terror. The bandits abducted his wife, Hawa, and their 4 young children, Miriam, Nana Asmau, Umu Kairi, and Abdurasak. The abductees were taken to an unknown forest in Katsina State, enduring a harrowing journey by foot and motorcycle. Throughout their period of captivity, these children were sustained on meager rations of maize and salt, drinking water from a nearby stream. While in captivity, Hawa gave birth under extremely harsh conditions, but tragically lost the baby. Despite the unbearable circumstances, our strength and resolve remained unbroken. One night, during the rainy season of 2023, she managed to unchain herself and escape with two of her children, Umu Kairi and Abdurasak. However, 12-year-old Miriam and 10-year-old Nana Asmao were left behind, still in the grip of their captors, stemming from advanced intelligence from our Force Intelligence Department and operational capability of our anti-kidnapping squad in Katsina State Police Command, as well as tactical support from the Nigerian Air Force 215 Forward Operating Base, FOB Funtua. The safe rescue of these minors was accomplished.
Oh dear. Well, let's go to the court now, where the tax evasion case involving Binance Holdings Limited and its executives has been stalled at the Federal High Court, Abuja, after their staff, Tigran Gambarian, failed to show up in court. Mr. Gambarian, a top Binance executive, was billed to appear in court for arraignment after he was served with the charges leveled against him by the FIRS. The company was sued by the FIRS for tax evasion alongside officials of the company, Tigran Gambarian and Nadim Anjabala, who fled the country on March the 22nd. Well, Binance is facing a 4-count charge after being accused of failing to register with the FIRS for the purpose of paying all relevant taxes administered by the service. Sports news now. Well, guess who's broken Bayer Leverkusen's 51-game unbeaten run? Well, you don't have to look too far, really. None other than Nigeria's Ademola Lookman, and he did it in grand style, ending his team's 61-year trophy drought. Ademola Lookman scored a sensational hat-trick to devastate Bayer Leverkusen's dream of an unbeaten season in the Europa League final at a boisterous Aviva Stadium. Both sides brought a huge amount of support and color to Dublin for what was Atalanta's first European final and only Leverkusen's third. Xabi Alonso's Leverkusen had not lost in 51 games this season and were only 2 matches away from perfection. But this now books Atalanta a place in next season's Champions League, which was not yet guaranteed through Serie A. Well, there you have it. The top stories at this hour, at least ending on a cheery note with Ademola Lookman's beautiful performance last night.